Welcome back to the Pixelists podcast, my friends, the podcast about all the nerdy things we love and enjoy. As always, we're your hosts. That's Blake. I'm Will, and today we're here to talk some Critical Role. Back after a long absence. I apologize, everyone.
The long night.
Yeah, like the long watch has ended, finally. It's good to be back, man. It's good to see you. It's good to be talking Critical Role again.
It's good to have you back. I'm glad you caught it. You caught up pretty fast too, man. It's
Bro.
no easy feat when you're like 3 or 4 episodes behind.
Bro, it was it's a blur. So I honestly like the past couple days of my life have been infused with Critical Role because I went back and watched the second half of episode 11 again, I think, which was the end of the Soldier's Table.
Oh yeah,
just because like I just needed to like refresh on everything that was happening, and so then I watched 4 episodes of the Seekers. So everything's a blur in my head. I did catch up. The only thing I kind of skipped through a little bit was the fights, just in the sake of trying to get caught up as soon as possible. So I do need to go back and check out those if there's anything like crazy that happened, but
and there wasn't. The only, which I can remember, the back half of episode 11, like the soldiers' final battle.
Mm-hmm.
I think actually that got split up in the previous episode. So I guess there's not really much to comment there, but yeah, I get it. Well, like I said, it's good to have you back, my friend. And did you hear that?
No.
Oh, okay.
What happened?
1 second.
Screaming child.
Yeah, sorry. 1 second.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. In the meantime, I'll just again say I apologize for so I guess 11, 12, 13, 14. This is episode 15, right? So I missed 4 episodes, I think, of the podcast. So I apologize for that because I left town for over 2 weeks to go to Australia, for anybody that doesn't know. And I was still in town and we could have recorded episode 11. So originally when I was going out of town, I was like, oh, I'm only going to miss like 2 episodes. But we had like a massive snowstorm and that made us change our travel arrangements, which means I had to leave earlier than I thought, which means I had to leave when we were going to record episode 11. So I missed that episode, so that's 1 right there. And then Blake and I just assumed there wasn't going to be an episode the final week of January because they always take off the last week, but then they didn't. And so then that was another episode we ended up missing. And then the week I got home, I just didn't have enough time to catch up to make the episode 14. So anyway, apologies for being gone that's what I was going over, Blake, that like I ended up missing like 4 episodes, I think, which we thought it would only be 2. So my apologies.
No, what's the fridge guy meme where he like goes to the fridge and he's like, ooh, and then he opens it up.
Yeah.
I just feel like there were people who were like, because we've gotten some comments in the past that have been like, Will, we love you. Blake, you're all right. So, I just imagine there's probably a couple people who were like rubbing the hands and then like, another solo episode. I'm out. But it's good to have you back.
Well, those people are fools, and I appreciate you holding down the fort for us.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to step away. I heard like a literal scream from the other room, and it was, I guess my dog was being wild or something.
Everyone's okay?
Yeah. Anyway. By the way, random, coffee talk before our ep. Yeah. 2 things to think about. 1, this has been mentioned in the Discord a few times. Join the Discord.
Yeah.
Wonder Man. I keep hearing Wonder Man is a really good show.
I heard that too.
And we might want to check that out.
Yeah.
Just throw it out there.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. I've been wanting to. We don't have Disney, but I want to watch it.
I would share you my Disney if they were not overlords that they're very passive aggressive. It's like, strange, this is not the same IP address that's registered with your account. Did you move? And it's like, no. But anyway.
Actually, maybe we might have it for something, but I don't think we do. I'll have to check.
Well, then the other show, we joked about the long watch, the long night. I've heard A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is
Yeah.
also really good.
I've heard the same thing. So I want to check it out. And I still have never seen House of the Dragon, which I heard was really good too. And I think that's about to come back too.
Yeah, I heard season 2 was not great
Oh,
of that,
wow.
which I don't know. I haven't seen it, so you guys who've followed both of them, you can let us know let us know what you think about it. But anyway, it's kind of crazy when you think about like the cultural phenomenon that is Game of Thrones, where so like central to online chatter of good shows for so many years.
Yeah.
I have to imagine HBO's fiending to try to claim some of that back. And I've heard Night of the Seven Kingdoms is really good.
Yeah,
So,
me too. So I definitely want to check it out.
well, that's it for me, like announcement wise. We have our new episode tonight. So, reminder, join the Discord. We have our live chat. This will be the last episode of the month, I think. And then we'll have next week off. But anything else you want to share or announce?
No, just in general, I was gonna say you guys may have to hold my hand a little bit because I did binge like 20 hours of Critical Role. The details they haven't really solidified. Like I know we got tons of new names, none of them have really like locked in yet. So just apologies, I'll be getting back to normal over the next couple weeks, but I just did my best to catch up for this.
Yeah, ketchup and mustard.
Yeah,
sorry,
little relish.
I feel like relish is underrated, by the way.
You know what? Not to completely distract us, but I didn't ever like it as a kid. So like I never got it. And now I don't think I've ever had it. Like on a hot dog, I mean. Like I love pickles. And I've had like different
if it's over brined and it's like way too bitter, I guess, it's not great. But a little sweet pickle relish. Ooh.
Yeah, I don't like sweet pickles, so I don't know if that'd be for me.
You know what, man?
But maybe it would be good like on a hot dog. That's what I'm thinking. Like
I just don't know what your problem is.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
All right. Well, let's jump into episode 15 of Campaign 4 of Critical Role. This is called Flight to Castle Torch. And as you recall, we don't do full-blown recaps anymore. We do just sort of a quick and dirty 60-second what happened. If you remember, the party was trying to escape from Riesengirdle, the Giant's Belt, the city that the Otto Einsfasen family, headed by Otto, the city that they ran. We know from the previous episode there was a skirmish, a scuttle with some Taconis guards, including Octus's brother being killed and his sisters in pursuit. That continues as the party travels to sort of like this eagle's nest, for lack of a better phrase, at the top of the city. Or rather, I guess, on the top of like a little mountain that overlooks the city. And ultimately, the party departs. They get onto just a very great Brennan NPC. I don't know how to describe it other than it's a very peak Brennan NPC. It's all I can say. But very much this very old eagle named, I think it was ALTRADLER,
yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They depart. They see the sisters are pursuing from behind in like sort of like this smoky form. But a couple of the druids also go and leave with them and essentially protect them as they head towards the land of eternal night. And if I recall correctly, and you guys can help me in the comments, this is the region of the world where one of the gods was killed, and there is sort of like an eternal night, almost like a curse that sits over the land since then.
It was Tonsil, who is like the shaper of the sun, so that's why it's like dark hair.
That's right. And this is also where their Aligar, Taisha's son, is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Or yeah.
Where he's been stationed, and so they're ultimately still trying to get to him because they've had a vision of him in the past. We get a really beautiful memory dream, I guess, of Valus before her god was killed, and just a really sweet, great interaction between Brennan and Ashley Johnson. And ultimately, the party does eventually make it to Castle Torch, where they meet with the captain and sort of the same old song and dance of informing NPCs about, hey, by the way, my whole family's been killed. The Draconuses have betrayed us, things of that nature. They do find out that Aligar and many of the soldiers here are not here. They've traveled to quell an undead uprising, a large uprising of undead that have come from warlocks in the area. And ultimately, the party decide to sort of track down that thread, not before Aranessa opts to leave, essentially to, I have to get to the Golden Orchard. I have to get there. I have to make sure that they're safe. I have to pass along whatever information that I have. And so Aranessa does, in fact, leave the party, traveling with a couple of the NPCs that they met at Castle Torch. And then the party begins to make their way as well. And that was episode 15 of Campaign 4 of Critical Role, Flight to Castle Torch. It's like wired into my brain to be like, and if you're watching just the recap, click the full. We don't do that anymore. So,
yeah, me too.
So anyway, all that to say, I know you watched a lot of Critical Role.
Yeah.
Same old song and dance. What have you thought of the Seeker's arc so far?
Yeah. So it's crazy. Like, it's all such a weird blur. And I normally watch the cooldown. I've only watched the cooldown for this episode. So I do want to go back and watch the other 4 that I've missed. But what's crazy is they mentioned that there's only 2 episodes left of this table. So like, so for me, like, it feels like I just started, even though I just binged like 20 hours of it, and it's like already over. So I'm like, whoa. This it's weird.
I mean, having watched it every week and like done the breakdowns, that feels so fast. Like, I feel like it's so crazy you said that, because this arc, it's been, let me say generally first, love these characters, love this angle, this arc, what have you. One of the things we talked about in the first episode 12, was like how much more directioned this group would probably be, since they're all DMs basically, including Ashley Johnson of my favorite one shot. We won't get into that, but all 4 of them are DMs. And so one of the common threads that were in the Discord and on the channel was, this is going to feel really directioned. And I won't say that hasn't happened. It feels like we've been like waiting to like really get to something meaty. And it felt like this episode heading into the land of eternal night, like, okay, yeah, now we're ratcheting this up. Like, we're hamming this up now. So to hear that there's only 2 episodes left, I'm a bit shocked, because I'm like, we just got here, is kind of my thoughts on it.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel too. And I mean, that's assuming it was kind of like, I don't remember exactly how it went down, but I think Brennan said, and there's only 2 left or something. And then everyone was like, please give us more. But like, they were kind of, and he was like, okay, I will. But like, I think that was just kind of tongue in cheek. So like, maybe there's more than 2, but like, they talked about how there's only 2 left. So
isn't the cooldown though part of the same episode? Like, isn't it just like the wind down, like after the session?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I don't really know how that would work. Because I guess maybe I guess with so many people, they are scheduling it. Yeah. So they must know that like, we've got 2 more sessions with this group,
Yeah. And I also wonder how deliberate Brennan, because one of the other things that we didn't get to talk about was the, not fireside chat, what they're calling it.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen that yet.
Oh man, it's so good.
The tailgate?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And it's kind of like, from what I can tell, it's this campaign's version of Four-Sided Dive.
Yeah.
Whitney Moore, by the way, is the host of that episode. Just such a great, that's a really great, and for everyone listening, if you haven't seen that episode, it's just a really good, like, behind the scenes. And I don't want to get us so distracted, but Brennan made the comment at the end of episode 11 about the dagger that Tyranny has. And he says, in another world, this would be a vestige of divergence.
Yeah.
Internet went crazy. And there's this really funny, like, 60-second part of Tailgate where it's a Q&A and Brennan's asked about this and Robbie Damon like loses his mind. He's like, guys, he wasn't saying like, is it only obvious to me? It's not literally a vest. He's saying
Right.
it's an anagram, like it's
Yeah.
not anagram.
Just
What's the word I'm thinking of?
analogy,
Analogous?
illusion, analogy.
Yeah, I think analogous is maybe what I'm thinking of. But just long version of me saying, I wonder if Brennan is just sort of like off the cuff saying like, yeah, we have about 2 episodes more of like, because you know, as a DM, you're kind of like thinking out like
Yeah.
where will the players go next, or if like literally it is like, you know, neatly buttoned up schedule wise, like we know the next table's supposed to be here on, you know, February 25th, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we know it's 2. I mean, I don't know. I'm very curious, but that's still very surprising to me.
Yeah. I mean, my best guess is that they this must be scheduled to some extent with that many people that are all very busy being involved. So, and not to launch into this, but in terms of scripted or railroaded, we, you know, especially a DM on the level of Brennan, he can put a bow on things wherever they are, where they need to end. You know what I mean? So like, maybe that means they'll arrive at the Eternal City and then we switch over to somebody else and then we pick up with them doing it, or like, you know, I think it'll be fine. But yeah, it is interesting if there's only 2 more episodes, which would mean it's only what, 7?
That would be 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 6 episodes.
Interesting. 6 versus 11, right? Well, right.
No,
the first 4 were the overture, right? So that didn't count.
Soldiers was 8, I think, or 7. I guess first 4.
I guess 7. So yeah, I mean, this would be comparable. Okay. I guess even though you felt the same way, I guess it especially feels really fast to me, having just had to like binge it all at once, basically.
It's wild to me how much longer the soldiers felt to me. Yeah. Compared to the Seekers. That's I don't know what that phenomenon is. That's really strange to me. That it
maybe we're
like
we're subconsciously including the overture.
Yeah,
because like the start of campaign 4 versus like I don't know.
Yeah, you could be right. Well, going back to my question though.
Yeah.
General impressions of this table. What, you know, what have you thought of the Seekers arc? You know, we saw the soldiers very much lived out the name of their table with many combats. And we've had 1 combat with the Seekers, which understandably they're not soldiers. But yeah, I'm curious your reaction to this table and what are your first thoughts on it?
Again, I won't keep saying this, but just take my opinion with a grain of salt because of the weird way I have had to consume this.
Yeah, no, sure.
And I like it. I especially love getting to see Matt as a player finally. But thus far, I would say I think I've enjoyed the soldiers a bit more. I don't know why necessarily, because it's not as if the soldiers had like a concrete path the entire time. But and I think you kind of mentioned this too, that it just feels like the Seekers have kind of just been, I don't know, there hasn't been like a concrete focus until like right now, basically. So maybe I was a bit more engaged with the soldiers, but again, that's not to say that I haven't enjoyed this.
No, yeah, I've loved the Seekers table. Man, and shout out to Alex Ward. The more I see of this person, I just think he's such a delight at the table. Even down to, you know, the nuance of being a what's it called? Not an undead, a hollowed one.
Yeah,
hollowed one. You know, thinking about like physically, like there's the scene where he's like trying to like sew up his stomach.
Yeah,
you know, just like and I love a player who like really thinks about that level of detail. And I mentioned this in one of the solo discussions on how so often at a table you just get wrapped up in like the next turn and like being a game that you don't really get into character. And I mentioned you as the DM where our friend wild shaped into a spider and we were like, okay, yeah, next turn. And you were like, so y'all are just cool with this guy? You just literally transform into a huge spider. You know, so there's something really special, I think, about a player like Alex Ward, who is There's that scene. There's the scene in this episode where he's considering how he feels about Julian killing Franz, his
Yeah.
brother,
Yeah.
and this is sort of this unspoken understanding of like the sisters are in pursuit. If they are killed as well, like what does this mean? Like the family dynamic, which is also so complicated, knowing that he's absolutely like the ousted one. I mean, well, they did kill him, so
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the table is really fun. The characters are really fun. Um, I'm also loving like this, not dynamic. For Ashley Johnson's character for Valus, like this wears all black, has her veil, very dark,
Yeah.
emo-ish. Emo's not right, but you see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like there's very much like a characteristic of this character. And I love that distinction with like in the sun, beautiful
Yeah.
trees, and like all that's so tragic in such like a palatable, meaningful way. Um, so the characters are really good. I'm really
Yes.
enjoying the characters.
Yeah, I love that you said that because I love that juxtaposition too, with like the like childlike whimsy, I guess, for Valus,
Yes.
and then just what she's like now, which not only speaks to the fact that her god died, but also that she's like so old. You know what I mean? Like she's
Mhm.
lived this like
Yeah.
cold life for so long. But it's interesting to see what's like deep down there and kind of those maternal instincts with Octus a little bit. You know, he said he's got a new mom. I don't know if he said that in the cooldown or in the actual episode, but
I
Alex
think
said like I'm trading moms.
yeah, yeah. I think there has been a comment about like the maternalness there, even prior to this episode. But I apologize to our listeners. I'm probably going to keep referencing previous episodes just because you and I haven't had a chance to talk about it
No,
yet.
yeah,
And
I have several notes from past episodes. Like I tried to keep it brief, but I have a few things from past episodes that I wanted to talk about.
yeah. Well, on the theme of like talking about great characters, Julian's flashback to where he was in the tournament. And
Yes.
I don't know, I think it was a tournament. It was like some kind of dueling
Yeah.
battle thing that he was part
Yeah.
of. And his dad, cheering for him, and like such like a palatable memory. And Matt's obviously acting out Julian like in tears, just
Mm,
broken about it. Like these little things are just so they're just so meaty in like such a good way. Like these are just such good role players,
yes.
understandably, but I'm enjoying all those kind of things too.
Me too. I think I'm pretty sure we talked about this maybe in one of the first episodes of the Overture, but really getting Jamie Lannister vibes from
Oh.
Julian. And you know, love me some Jamie Lannister. So I think I'm gonna love Matt's character, and who knows where it's gonna go, but I feel like we can really see like this kind of tragic redemption type of thing with him. But yeah, that memory with his dad, like the one time his dad was proud of him, basically, and
Mhm.
you can see how that motivates him. And I love the different glimpse into his character in this episode with seeing how he's treated at this Castle Torch, where he's like really respected and everyone loves him. And like, previously he's been this like really standoffish guy that everyone hates and nobody
Yeah.
gets along with. And it's like, oh, there's this completely different facet of him. And so I do think that memory speaks to this. Like that's like that,
Yeah.
the how he felt in that moment, getting that, pride from his father and everything. It seems like he's in a way kind of like chased that in trying to be like the best soldier he can be. So I just thought that was cool.
And I think he was stationed at Castle Torch at some point, is like the
Yeah.
the backstory there, if I recall correctly. Yeah, and considering you mentioned, you kind of sped through a couple of the combats, but one of the things that I'll mention, and we saw this in the overture as well, I love how bloodthirsty Matt has made Julian, where in the overture, where there's the scene where like all of the undead, like the ghouls are like surrounding them, and it's like it's time to leave. And true to Julian's character, it's like my dad was just killed. Like, no, I'm
Yeah.
not leaving.
Yeah.
And then Vales is like, well, then I'm not going to leave either. And then we had something similar in the recent combat against Franz and the Taconuses, where if I'm recalling correctly, it was like a same deal. It was like, we're getting out of here. And he was like, no, I'm like killing as many as I can. And I think even like the haste effect. He was given the haste effect by Aranessa, and they like could have left with it, but he opted to like continue to fight.
Mm.
And then you guys have to help me because I can't fully remember this. I think Valus actually ends up carrying, like, because when haste ends, and I
Yeah.
apologize, I don't remember the effect. What happens when
I think you
haste
get like
ends,
stunned.
yeah, so Valus ends up carrying, and Matthew Mercer, we've all seen the, not Dimension 20, but the actually clip. I mean, Matthew knows how haste works.
Yeah,
Like, this wasn't someone surprised,
Right.
like, your typical D&D character who's had like a feat on their character sheet for
Yeah.
like 4 years and they just discovered it. Like,
Yeah.
this is not Matthew. He knows how this works.
Right.
And, something else I mentioned in the solo episodes is just like how nice it is when a player sticks to the thinking of a character, even when it's not optimal. And one of the things I mentioned was Travis Willingham playing Chetney and running into the traps in Hydroga's museum.
Classic.
So just a shout out to Matthew, who's, playing this angle that is dangerous and not optimal, but absolutely is in line with his character. And it's something that I'm enjoying.
Yeah, me too. Love Matt. Been so nice to see him kind of do these things.
I love how this channel is just like not really, I don't want to say honest critique. It is honest critique, but it's very much like just enjoying these characters, which, I mean, it makes sense. We're dedicating hours on end every week for a show we love. So, we're probably not going to be the most negative about it, I guess. But anyway.
There's enough of that out there.
True. Well, you said you had some notes or a couple of things that were top of mind for you.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll handle a couple of things from this episode first, and then maybe we could go back. So the two. Let me see. I think the two big things from this one is, first of all, the cold open with Azune. Was this episode, right? With him, the flashback with him as a kid.
Yeah. Yes, dude.
That was so good.
Yes.
And just,
oh my gosh.
I think, I don't remember where I saw this. It might have been like a tweet or something, but they said that, Luis is really coming for Liam's sad boy crown. And I was like, yeah, he is. So
I think he had actual tears too. Like, I was like, dude, Luis Carrazzo he's in it right now. Gave me such good Xerxes vibes of, him yelling back at Brennan, just like so in the thick of it. Yeah, great cold open for sure.
And just Brennan tossing him that I don't know what he's tossing him. Just Brennan being a good DM, being like, and is that the last time you ever saw your parents? And he's like, yeah, it's like, gosh, man.
And I love this as a DM, by the way, because it's just important, I think, to remind your players of the agency they have for their backstory. And I think too often, I don't know if you guys listening have had something similar happen where, like the player like passes on the D&D backstory document, and then it can be very much like, here it is, build for me, create your narrative epic about my character. So I appreciate. Brennan also does this really well in Worlds Beyond Number. We need to listen to Flight of the Icaron, by the way.
Yeah, have you checked it out at all?
No, but it's been mentioned in the Discord. I think Carrot Plush or Blue Button has mentioned it a couple times how good it is. But and Lou is DMing that. But in Wizard Witch in the Wild one, Brennan continuously does this with his characters of asking, like, there's an interaction with Suvi on like, what were your parents' names and what were they known as, and what's in your pocket, like things like very like tangible role play esque moments. And I just think it's a healthy thing as a DM is, not being expected to create everything for the players. But yeah, I like that moment too.
Yeah, the cold opens throughout, and again, they're all mixed up in my head right now, but throughout this section I just watched were so good. Another one, not to get us too well, we'll come back to it, but Belair's cold open was fascinating. I think it was a couple episodes back.
Where he decides to like
Yeah,
not go back in the box effectively.
yeah. But maybe we'll revisit that. But the other thing, the main thing I wanted to talk about from this episode was Arnessa's secret. What do you think that is? Where I think it was I think it was Valus did like an insight check and it was like, yeah, she's telling the truth or whatever, but you can see that there's this enormous secret behind her eyes that she's had to like keep her entire life that like no one else knows, type of thing.
Yeah,
and it's what?
I closely associated it with something about the Golden Orchard. Like she's like protecting it with her life. And then was the detail shared that like not even Julian knows?
Yeah, I think that like no one knows, meaning like not Julian, not the Ozzy, not you know, her son or whoever. Do they have a kid?
No, I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know either. Maybe that's the secret. I don't know. But yeah, that was really interesting. I don't really have much to speculate on it, but it's a nice little kind of, I don't know, cliffhanger's not the right word, I guess, but now she's leaving the party, so like we're not going to get any we're not going to find that out anytime soon, presumably, but very curious.
Yeah. I don't know, and I understand. I feel like every discussion episode I keep saying this, like I keep waiting for like the bleakness of the world to really hit. So I immediately distrust her leaving with these two guards, but I also conceptually know like Brennan, like there's absolutely this element of like I have to get this critical NPC out of the group.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's more logistical there. But I remember in one of my sessions, had like this crucial NPC, and the players were like, "Why don't you come with us?" And I should have just been like, "No," but I was like, "Yeah, give me a persuasion roll," and it was like nat 20, and I was like, "All right, let's go, let's go, guys," But then from that moment on, I was like, "How do I get this person out of the party?"
Yeah.
So, I think Brennan obviously has intentions for Aranessa, probably around the secret, but I think more importantly, they're probably heading into a very dangerous area.
Yeah,
I would assume it's called the Eternal Night.
Yeah,
and I imagine Brennan is taking a piece off the board that he doesn't want that character to die, in case something happens to the group. So
yeah, and I also liked that Matt was the one to kind of facilitate it, which just speaks to his strength as a DM and as a good player. Because I think Arnessa like came to him, and Julian was like, no, this is like you go handle that. Like he just as easily could have been like, no, like I need to protect you, so you have to stay with us, But of course it's Matt, and he's like, yeah, I understand that this NPC probably can't be with us for the entire campaign, so he kind of like made it easy for Brennan in that way.
Yeah. She's secretly a gold dragon.
That'd be cool. That'd be real cool. I mean, I guess there are dragons in this world. Hasn't been much mention of stuff like that, but why not, right?
I mean, he's got all these other mythical creatures.
Yeah.
And Brennan has mentioned, drawing on inspiration about some of these mythical, more hidden, I don't say hidden, like more under-discussed mythical creatures. Like from like Scottish lore and things like that.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see there being dragons and many more things that were like, what the heck is that? So yeah.
All right, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here. Was there anything else from this episode specifically? I know we've kind of breezed through it, but I mean,
yeah, not really. I mean, I'll just, just another shout out to the theme from last episode of like, wait, what's going on here? Like, what's happening? And specifically, There was something so odd about the Giants belt, the recent girdle arc of like a logistical piece. And this was all in the Discord, even commented on the YouTube video with people being like, "Oh, I was so confused." I still felt that a little bit in this episode of like the party leaving and then, well, wait, they see in the distance, they can see the sisters talking to the druids, and then, well, wait, smoke's chasing them.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, but it's not the sisters. It's the druid that they just saw talking to the sisters.
Yeah.
All of that, I was just like, bro, there's something weird going on here. Not actually weird, but just like, the theme continued a little bit for the first half of this episode. That's pretty much it. So
I can see that. I mean, that was definitely happening to me.
Yeah,
I was like, wait, what just happened? Okay, but okay. So the Belair cold open, I thought was really fascinating. I honestly don't know how much I have to say on it, but it's just one of the things I noted down. And I don't know if I was just confused or if I never even had a thought on this and just thought I did, but for some reason I thought that Belair did not participate in the killing of the god. I knew that he was created for that, but for some reason I thought that like he specifically didn't get to take part in that, but then this cold open made me think he did take part in it.
yeah, there's like an interesting like logistical piece here where I think both can still be true. Like I think it's true that he could have not participated originally, and then here we have like the reenactment of it, and which Brennan, is doing his acting chops here, does a great job. But clearly, Belair is these people are in possession of him in doing this reenactment, whether that's by his choice or not, I'm not sure. So I think both can be true though. Like he wasn't actually there, but he knows what happened, so that as he's seeing like this very like romanticized version of it, he's like, well, I know that isn't how it happened, but I'm gonna go see the world, see what other good things are out there.
Yeah.
Which a little bit of irony there. He's also, permanently possessing this poor lad who is wearing him.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I think your comments spot on though, of like, okay, there is a little bit of a mismatch there. But.
I don't remember why I thought that. Like, I'm assuming, again, I just don't know. So maybe y'all can let me know in the comments, because like maybe that was said earlier and that's why I thought that.
Well,
or maybe I just made it up.
No, I think like the implication almost when he's recalling what happened, I think the implication was almost like he absconded from like his duty of what he was created for, and that's why he wasn't there for the death of this god. And so then here he is now seemingly being in possession by someone else. Like that, I think that element is a little bit, it's a gap there for sure.
Yeah. And then it was also just interesting to learn more about how he works. That like it used to be, because now he just fully takes over the body, but like as it was designed, I guess it was meant to just enhance the wearer, and they kind of worked in tandem. And then how terrifying that he just has the ability to like completely suppress that person if he wants to. And I think he described it like he could still communicate with them, like because clearly they could communicate. And so like is whoever he's possessing just like constantly screaming in Belair's mind like, give me back my body, like do they eventually die? And I don't know, but
I have to imagine it's like Jim Carrey's The Mask meets Get Out. It's like some combination of that where like it does enhance the wearer, but at some point the consciousness of the person can be totally suppressed or what have you. And obviously like the tragedy here is that what we saw in a previous cold open where he actually switches bodies with someone who I think was trying to rob him, or he was robbing them, or something to that effect. But he burns the body of the body that he leaves behind. So there is like sort of this bit of tragic dispense of life as he's also on this quest to like discover beauty.
Yeah.
Honestly, now I'm probably romanticizing it a little bit more than how he did, but he more had, I guess, this curiosity of like what other good things are out there
Yeah.
as he's body jumping, But
No, yeah, it's really fascinating, honestly. It's a really cool thing to explore, like
yeah,
this weapon that was created having its own consciousness and agency and being like, what am I? I'm not just
mhm,
bound by this purpose I was created for. Like I can do whatever. Like let me explore
yeah,
what that is. But at the cost of taking these other lives, right? And I thought what was really interesting is that it was a play that inspired all of that, right? And so
hmm
and this is me taking a little bit of a leap here, but not a big one, I don't think. I wonder if this explains his connection with Hal, because we know that he hated the Ozzy, but Hal is like his best friend, and Hal is a bard, is a playwright, So like,
yeah,
I wonder if that's how that connection originally began, because Belair is probably fascinated with plays and and bards and stuff. So I thought that was a
yeah.
cool potential little connection there.
Something else from an earlier episode,
Yeah.
we talked a lot in the Discord about Otto Einsfasen and like what exactly was going on with the castle Clipper Clap or whatever the name is of this castle. Uh, but ultimately, I'd love your thoughts on: do you think Otto Einsfasen was actually working with the Taconuses and trying to keep them there for help to arrive, or do
Yeah.
you think he was more honest in, I don't really know what's going on here, but I can't let you leave because I'm not totally certain.
Yeah, that was one of the things I had on my list to bring up too. Yeah, I was very suspicious because like he just domed that girl,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
and to me that's suspicious. Like, yeah, she messed up, but like, let's question her a little bit.
Yeah,
Who did you send that message to? What
yeah,
was in the message? No, none of those
yeah,
questions just killed her. So to me, that was like I gotta silence you before you reveal
yeah,
what's up here. Now, could it be
yeah,
that that's just how they operate? Maybe, but definitely suspicious. And I mean, we saw that interaction with Azune and Einfasen earlier, where was it the same guy, or it was a different guy,
yeah. Different guy.
different Einfasen? But we know that
Uh-huh.
that guy was like, I think he rolled like a nat 20 insight. Luis did, and
Hmm.
he was like bad, not a
Yeah,
good dude at all. And so, not that
yeah,
that means all Einfasens are that way, but I don't know. I would lean towards something was up there.
yeah. I like you. I like that you mentioned this because I specifically called out this interaction in
Yeah.
one of the solo episodes, um, of how Brennan is so clever and smart. Because I agree with you. I feel like this was a major red flag, but as a DM, especially like a DM who's like building a setting of intrigue, if you see an NPC bludgeon someone to death, you're probably thinking red flag and we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
I love how Brennan very masterfully sort of defused that by giving this backstory about, yeah, Einsfasens, they're kind of hot headed. And the party's like,
Mm.
oh, yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. And just sort of like, it very much like took the teeth out of that moment
Yeah.
intentionally, I think, which, got them to stay there a bit longer. And, they did obviously eventually depart. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that scene in particular was a major red flag. And you know what? I don't know if he's working with the Taconuses, but probably not the best dude.
Yeah.
Just smashing a girl's head in. Probably
Yeah.
not. But
I
anyway,
don't trust him. I don't trust him.
yeah. Well, and there
He,
was also that conversation with Taisha on like, hey, are your druids? If anything goes bad, are your druids involved? And she's like, oh no, definitely not. And he's like, oh, good, good. And she's like, wait, what was that?
yeah.
It's just very like,
Like,
yeah, you're very excited about
I'm gonna
that.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's even like, and you can leave, by the way. You don't have to stay. Your friends are totally dead, but
Yeah.
you're good.
Like,
So
don't show up tomorrow type of thing.
yeah.
um, but yeah, big old creep vibes from him, to be honest. Um, Okay, let's see. I have a couple other things. I tried to keep it minimal because I knew we weren't going to be able to just have a 5 episode discussion. I can't remember even what episode it was in, but I guess it would have had to have been episode 11, the end of the soldiers table, with Robbie. I'm just so fascinated by Robbie's character, and I can't remember like the exact specific thing he said that I wanted to comment on, but I think it was just during how his like level up sequence and getting the new arrow. I don't know. This isn't even a concrete point, but I love Robbie. Very curious about what's his name? Blanking.
Cadigan.
Cadigan. Thank you.
Yeah.
But
he's
then,
go ahead. He's a central piece of Tailgate.
Okay.
By the way,
Yeah, I gotta see that.
And not even just that dynamic, but you definitely need to watch it. There's such a great segue there about like they're talking about different characters, and then Robbie like kind of jokingly apologizes to Whitney Moore for being so harsh about the dagger.
Oh yes, okay, that's refreshing my memory now.
Yeah, and being like because Cadigan scolds Tyranny for taking it.
Yeah,
and is like, yeah, and I think Robbie jokes that he like reads the comments on the internet and is like, yeah, some people said I was pretty mean, like my bad. And I love Brennan jumps in and gives just this awesome just comment about great improv and how like effectively, Whitney pushed the button, and if nobody reacts to that, it's like not a good scene.
Yeah.
And so Robbie recognized like she had pushed the button and like there needed to be a reaction, like whether it was as harsh as it needed to be or not, like that was the right call in the moment. And the other thing that came out of Tailgate about Cadigan was him becoming sort of like this moral center to the group and like this strong sense of right and wrong. And something that Robbie mentioned was this joke around like, I gave pages of backstory, but I never expected that to happen. Like it just happened, amorphously in the session.
Right.
So I love this character, and I love that you pointed it out too.
Yeah, me too. I love him. I mean, and I actually loved when this dating back to the episode where she stole the knife. How mad Robbie got. Just as you said, Brennan explained it. That's the perfect explanation. It's like that's what makes that choice interesting, is that there is that type of repercussion, and I like that Robbie had the courage to go for that, because especially Whitney, who's a new presence at the table, you don't want to make her think like, oh, you idiot, like why'd you do that? And so I love that Robbie, I even remember in that episode, like after his like big expressive emotion, he even says like, I think it was kind of like, it wasn't a focus of the table, but you could just see he's like, hey, like I'm sorry, I'm not actually mad. And so he's just a great player, very cognizant of that type of thing.
Well, and he has in the second half of episode 11 where we get like the really just a great bittersweet end of arc, like kind of like what's everyone's final thoughts. But in one specific instance, we have him kind of coming alongside Tyranny and giving, the dad pep talk of like, you are your choices. And again, that's mentioned in Tailgate about like, I just never expected that to happen. Like these things are just sort of naturally occurring, but yeah, very cool character, really fun character. And I'll also say too, I'm glad that the soldiers are staying with him, because in the second half of the episode, originally it was like he was going to go back to Dolmakyar and they were going to continue elsewhere. So I'm glad they're all together.
Yeah, and I remember the original thing I wanted to say when I brought up Robbie that I couldn't remember is that when he gives her he fashioned a new handle for the blade and was like, hey, sorry, that wasn't my place, like, and the whole pep talk. And then that kind of like with the like arrow scene I was talking about earlier, I just love this, like, duality is not the right word, but like Robbie's Cadigan's so interesting because like he's clearly very high EQ, like he's very empathetic, and yet he doesn't hold any of that for himself. Clearly, like he's very lost, kind of like given like drunkard vibes, trying to run from something, and yet he notices this in all these other people and tries to help them, but like he can't give himself that care, and that's just like such a classic, kind of character trope, I guess, for lack of a better word. But I love it, so I can't wait to see like what he does with that.
Well, and we wouldn't be the first ones to say this. And in fact, we already talked about this back on the episode with the doll, where he finds like the ragged doll, which he also mentions that comments were really upset about him tossing the doll, like once he realized it was ruined. But something we talked about then was this theory of it seems like he's lost a daughter, is I feel like the implication. And then on the tailgate discussion, this comes up. And it's funny, like just the seasoned D&D player versus the newer one.
Yeah.
Because this gets brought up, and Laura Bailey says, "Well, I don't want to suppose out loud because I don't want to take from Robbie the opportunity to develop that." And then Whitney Moore then says, "Well, I think he lost his daughter, but I'm just." Which no hate towards Whitney Moore. I just think it was just a funny moment there. So this isn't like a Pixelist original theory. This is surrounded the conversation. But now that you've finished the Soldier's arc, do you feel more confident that that's the case, or do you think it could still be something else?
I think he's clearly suffered some sort of tremendous loss. Like, I think that's obvious. And so I think the daughter fits that puzzle piece rather nicely, especially given the doll thing. And if we don't want to say daughter, just family for like a bigger word. But I don't think it has to be that, but I do think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Okay.
One kind of random note, I don't even remember what episode this would have been talked about in. Maybe the Belair cold open even, but the revelation that basically in the Shapers' War, we know that it was originally the orcs that rebelled against Osgrath? I can't remember his name.
I didn't Asgra, I think.
Yeah, the orc shaper. We know that they are the ones that originally rebelled, and that basically escalated into humans versus gods. Not all humans were against the gods, but humans versus gods. All the gods died. So I thought it was interesting that the revelation was that, originally probably no one else would have cared that the orcs were going against their gods. It's not just like, oh, hey, one person did it, let's also risk our lives to kill our god. But rather that what was going to happen was, because the orcs were rebelling, the other shapers were going to give some of their races to Osgra to basically like, you be his servants now. And so it's like, oh, that's why they joined. They didn't want to be enslaved, So it wasn't like, yeah, let's stand up for our fellow man. It's like, oh no, they can be enslaved, but you're going to try to enslave me? No. So I just thought that was such like a real, like, it makes sense. So I just liked that development.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much like historical context here. I think of like and then they came for me, that one. Brennan's such a well-read, smart person, as well as all the players at the table. So yeah, I mean, I love this whole implication of like, eventually the wheel continues to whirl and crush, whatever comes next. So yeah, I like that too.
And then the only other it's not like a big thing, but the only other big thing I had, which again, don't remember what episode this was in. I think it was a cold open because it involves the soldiers, but it wasn't in episode 11. With Tayor and Thimble basically having their little moment. And basically the end all revelation is that or at least what I took from it, was that the magic that Tayor and his brother have been channeling is, if not fairy magic, closely related to it. Which I thought that was really interesting. Is that the implication you took from that scene?
I take it now that you said it.
I mean, don't let me push my perspective on you, because I don't know if that was even what you were supposed to take away from that scene.
No, I think that was like episode 13, maybe. I think that was a couple ago. And it was very much, I think it ends with him like wondering about the source of the magic. Yeah. And I think that's about as far as my thought went. Was like, yeah, I wonder too. We'll probably figure that out. And now that you mention it, yeah, I think that makes perfect sense because
like Thimble like recognized it or something. I don't remember exactly. It's all a blur.
Yeah.
But I just remember walking away with that and being like, oh, because that's something we've been wondering about. Like,
Yeah.
he's a paladin. Where is
Yeah.
he? What magic is he channeling? What? There's no gods,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah, and I imagine Brennan, some of these things, and I think we've talked about this previously. I think the reason that some of these things feel a bit vague is not because like the players are referencing like a massive lore document. I think the players are collaboratively building some of this together,
yeah,
and they're kind of discovering where it leads to.
I agree.
So I definitely think the implication is there, and I think these players at the table are kind of putting things out there, and then being like, how do I feel about that?
Yeah.
Like, do I want to keep pulling on that thread, or do I not, or so. But yeah, I like that theory. I could see that for sure.
And it was kind of giving me, for those of you that have seen Campaign 3, kind of like Eidolon vibes versus gods. Like that there was, yeah, obviously the gods are very powerful and bestowed magic on people, but also magic already existed. So like, I wonder if fairy magic is kind of analogous to that. But I would assume there was also like not a fairy god, but like whoever house, is it Royce?
Hey, I'm really sorry. I have this FedEx guy I gotta grab real quick.
You're good. You're good. I'll just keep for those of you out there. So I think Arnessa is Royce, obviously, and they're the ones that are connected to fairy, kind of the antithesis of the Taconis, right? So I would assume that, again, not that there's like a fairy god, but there's probably a god that was associated with that side of things or that realm. But at the same time, I don't know that there is. But even if there is, let me put it that way. The implication from that scene to me was that this type of magic already existed in the world beyond gods. And so what I'm really curious about is whether or not Tayor has any idea that that's what he's channeling. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't.
Sorry about that. We returned something, and they said FedEx was going to come today.
Yeah.
Well, they came like an hour after we did the return online yesterday. Like we did the return, and then they showed up an hour later and took this big box.
Wow.
Which we were like, that's weird, because they said
fast.
they're coming. They said they're coming tomorrow. So then this guy just pulled up, and I'm like, he's gonna wonder where this box is.
Yeah.
So I wasn't helpful. I just said, you guys already came, and he was like, okay. So I don't know. Sorry to interrupt with that, but
you're good. Basically, the short and the long of what I was just saying is, I wonder if Tayor has any idea on the source of his own magic, or if it's just completely lost to him.
I bet he has, like, similar to what I was saying earlier. I bet they have an idea, and they're kind of just seeing how the story plays out,
letting it cook a little bit.
Yeah, let it cook a little bit. Pull on the threads as they come until you find like some really. I think it's similar with Wick also, in that I don't think Sam has fully figured out, even not necessarily Wick's like source of magic, because like we know it, but like there was this element, and I think even maybe in that back half of Wikander like wanting, or maybe it was like in a cold open somewhere, but him wanting to like spend more time with Tayor and kind of pull on this thread also. All that to say, I don't know if Sam's fully like seen out like where that goes.
Yeah, I'm sure he hasn't. Yeah. And then I'm not saying this is related to Tayor at all, but it made me think of it. Do you remember? Oh, it's a blur, so you'll have to help me encapsulate this. But there was a moment, I think, with Azune and someone, where he like pulled him aside and was like, hey, maybe it was Julian, where he like pulled him aside and was like, hey, I know what actually happened. So what story are you going with? Like, was that Azune and Julian?
Yeah. And I think it's related to Thiazi being captured.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Not being captured, but being defeated originally by Julian.
Okay, yeah. Then never mind. For some reason, I was thinking, was Tayor one of the people involved in that, and this could be related to his magic? But no, that was something else. So forget I said it. Are you just watching this FedEx guy?
I'm just thinking.
Oh,
I'm
I
watching him
thought
like
you.
drive around. I can see him driving around the neighborhood.
I
So
just pictured the FedEx guy like
yeah,
standing at your window, just like staring at you, like, "Where's the package?"
I just feel the whole thing's very strange because I'm like, why did FedEx come an hour after we did the return?
Yeah, are you sure it was a
Oh,
FedEx and not just some dude stealing your package?
it was a pretty heavy package. I
Yeah.
like threw my back out moving it, but I was gonna say something else about all this, and then I got your joke got me distracted. Oh, I don't know if this was in this arc, by the way, but I think maybe it was the end of the last arc. But continuing to mention, we're continuing to get like sort of some flavor and flair around like the lore background of like the Torn Banner and the War of Axe and Vine and the Falconers Rebellion.
Yeah.
And did we talk about like Liam with Thiazi like visiting him?
No.
What? Okay, because that was also another great cold
Yeah, I
open.
think I
Where
think
we,
yeah, I think that happened in these episodes somewhere. That
but
was really interesting.
yeah, and more confirmation, I guess that we which we already knew this before, but Thiazi was just someone signing up. He wasn't the head of it. So to see him become like this central rebellious figure many years later, I think is really interesting.
Yeah, I again, it's a blur. I actually need to go back and rewatch that because there were a couple really interesting things to me in that. And not that they were like secrets or reveals, but just like some really interesting moments there. And I love that I think it was like at the end, like they kind of talked each other out, realized they were not seeing eye to eye, and then like Diazi leaves, and then Liam. There was still like a final moment. You'd think that like maybe Hal would have made peace. It's like okay, that's what he wants to do, but no, he still said like don't go. And I thought that was such like a beautiful choice, especially knowing what happens. Like
Yeah.
obviously Liam wasn't metagaming, but it's like in that moment, like even then, it's like I know what this leads to. Like don't go.
Yeah, I mean, it's another point of a character playing their character
Yeah.
rather than being above the board,
Right.
above the table. So, anyway,
Good stuff.
we like the show. We like the show.
Indeed.
Okay, so 2-ish episodes left.
Crazy.
Yeah, so fast, so fast, and then presumably we'll go back to we'll go to
the schemer. No, not the
schemers.
schemers. Yeah.
Yeah, schemers.
Yeah.
Schemers table. Yeah.
So I'm
Okay.
excited for that table.
Me too.
I'm excited for all
Me
the
as well.
tables, but you
Yeah.
know. And yeah, I know I've said it again, but just one more time, apologies for being gone for the last like month, and apologies for this episode having to be like a catch up because of that. So I appreciate you guys bearing with us, and hopefully we'll be back to regular scheduled programming from here on.
Yep. All right. Well, tonight is episode 16. So just a reminder, you can jump into the Discord with us and do the live chat with us. And, it's an opportunity open for anybody who enjoys Critical Role.
Yeah.
So having said that, thanks for watching.
We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.